reporter once asked Munger if there were any tools or behaviors he used to facilitate rational thinking. His answer was immediate.
The answer is, of course. I hardly do anything else.
Then he explained one of his favorite mental tricks.
And one of my favorite tricks is the inversion process.
Most people try to solve problems by asking one question. How do I get what I want? How do I become successful? How do I make more money? How do I build a great business? It sounds logical, but according to Charlie Munger, one of the greatest investors in history, there's a question that can sometimes be far more powerful. How do I make sure I fail? Because once you know exactly how to destroy something, you can start doing the opposite. This is the mental model Munger called inversion. And unlike complicated financial theories, inversion is incredibly simple, but it can completely change the way you think.
If somebody hired me to fix India, I would immediately say, what could I do if I really wanted to hurt India?
And then he would identify everything that could cause the country to fail.
I'd figure out all the things that would most easily hurt India, and then I'd figure out how to avoid them.
That's inversion. Instead of asking, how do I create the best possible outcome? You ask, what would guarantee the worst possible outcome? Then you avoid it. It sounds almost too simple, but there's a reason this works. When you're trying to achieve something, your mind naturally becomes attached to the outcome. You want to win. You want to succeed. You want to be right. And that desire creates a blind spot. You start looking for evidence that confirms your plan. You focus on what could go right, while ignoring everything that could go wrong. Inversion forces you to turn around. It makes you temporarily forget about the destination and examine the cliff you're about to walk off. Imagine you want to become successful. The normal question is, what should I do to become successful? You might write down 10 things. Work harder, learn new skills, build connections, stay consistent. All reasonable advice. But now invert the problem. Ask, if I wanted to guarantee that I would remain unsuccessful for the next 10 years, what would I do? The answers become uncomfortable. I would waste my best hours. I would constantly consume instead of create. I would avoid learning valuable skills. I would quit every time progress became boring. I would spend my money trying to impress people. I would blame circumstances. Now you have something much more useful than a motivational list. You have a map of the traps, and sometimes knowing what to avoid is more valuable than knowing what to pursue. This is why Munger's idea is so powerful. The world is complicated. Success has thousands of variables, but failure often has a much smaller number of predictable causes. A business might fail because of bad management. A relationship might collapse because of dishonesty. A person might destroy their health through years of neglect. You don't need to know exactly how to create perfection. Sometimes you just need to stop doing the things that reliably destroy it. Munger understood this principle deeply. He wasn't obsessed only with finding brilliant investments. He was equally interested in avoiding terrible ones. Because in investing, avoiding stupidity can be more important than chasing brilliance. Imagine you have two investors. One is constantly searching for the next incredible opportunity. The other is constantly asking, how can I lose money here? What if the company has too much debt? What if the business model stops working? The second investor isn't necessarily smarter, but he's forcing himself to see what excitement naturally hides. That's the power of inversion. It attacks your optimism. It challenges your assumptions. And most importantly, it makes you confront the possibility that your plan could be wrong. This isn't just useful for money. It's useful for almost everything. Take your health. Instead of asking, how do I become extremely healthy? Invert it. What would destroy my health? You already know the answers. Never exercising, sleeping terribly, eating badly every day, living under constant stress. Now the solution becomes obvious. You don't need to discover some secret health hack. You need to stop repeatedly doing the things that make you unhealthy. Now you know what to avoid. The same principle applies to your career, your business, your finances, even your personal growth. But here's where inversion becomes really interesting. Sometimes the biggest obstacle isn't that you don't know what to do. It's that you already know what you're doing wrong, and you keep doing it anyway. That's why Munger's method isn't just a thinking tool. It's a tool for confronting yourself. Because inversion removes the comfortable story you tell yourself. You might say, I want to become a successful creator. But inversion asks, if I wanted to guarantee that I never become one, what would I do? You would probably avoid publishing. You'd obsess over perfection. You'd constantly change direction. You'd quit before you've collected enough data to know whether your strategy works. Now, look at the difference. The first question gives you inspiration. The second gives you clarity. And clarity is often more valuable because you don't always need another strategy. Sometimes you need to remove the behavior that's sabotaging the strategy you already have. That's the hidden power of inversion. It doesn't always tell you what to add. Sometimes it tells you what to remove. And this is why Munger said, it works better to frequently invert the problem.
You'd say it's the same thing, it's just in reverse. It works better to frequently to invert the problem. Constantly invert.
Notice the word, frequently, because your mind naturally returns to its old patterns. You make a plan, you become excited, you start imagining success, and slowly, you stop questioning the weaknesses in your thinking. Inversion forces you to question them again. You can even use it when making small decisions. Suppose you're about to make a major purchase. Instead of asking, why should I buy this? Ask, what would make me regret buying this? Suppose you're building a business. Don't just ask, how do I grow this? Ask, what could kill this business? Then attack those weaknesses first. Because when you invert a problem, something strange happens. The problem often becomes smaller. You stop trying to predict the entire future. You simply identify the obvious ways things can go wrong and eliminate them one by one. Munger explained this perfectly. You don't think of what you want, you think what you want to avoid. And then he adds, but when you're thinking what you want to avoid, you also think about what you want. That's the genius of inversion. You don't abandon your goal. You approach it from the opposite direction. You want success? Study failure. You want wealth? Study what destroys wealth. You want a great relationship? Study what destroys trust. You want a healthy life? Study what destroys health. Because sometimes the fastest way forward isn't figuring out how to climb higher. It's figuring out what keeps pulling you down. And perhaps that's why one of Charlie Munger's most powerful mental models is also one of his simplest. When everyone else is asking, how do I win? You can ask a better question. How would I guarantee that I lose? Then don't do those things. Because you don't always need to become extraordinary to change your life. Sometimes you just need to stop repeatedly doing the ordinary things that guarantee an ordinary result. And that is the power of inversion.